Did you know that Zootopia is completely different in other parts of the world? And we're not talking about journalists changing species from country to country, as we mentioned here on the channel in another video. We're talking about something much simpler, the name of the city itself. That's right, you heard correctly. The name Zootopia is entirely different in the United Kingdom and Canada. In these places, the city of all animals is called Zootropolis. This happened because Disney understood that the association in the minds of the audience in these countries would work better with this name. We can say that this is at the very least curious, don't you think?
Of course!
And if you're curious like us, you need to see the other 11 different scenes we've picked out for you now. Planes! We've talked about a really cool detail in the movie Cars 2, where Disney featured the same vehicle with different colors and names according to the country the film was shown in, always paying tribute to local pilots and the flags of each of the countries where this differentiation occurred. Interestingly, the same thing happened in another Disney movie, released 2 years later, Planes. In it, we have the character Rochelle, one of the competitors in the Wings Around the Globe rally in the film. The detail is that she, besides being El Chupacabra's love interest,
El Chupacabra!
is also responsible for bringing the diversity of countries to the films, having different colors and names in each country where the film was shown. For example, in Germany, she was named Heidi, in Russia, she was called Tanya, and in Brazil, she was named Carolina. In fact, Rochelle had 11 different versions with various color combinations. Pretty cool, huh?
She is like an angel.
Monsters, Inc. Speaking of diversification based on location, this also happens quite a bit in the Monsters, Inc. franchise. This occurred particularly in relation to the diversity of languages in the places where the film would be shown. Considering this, Disney Pixar adapted the slogan of the Scare Company in Monstropolis, which originally was, "We scare because we care," into Spanish as "Sustos que dan gusto," which means scares that give pleasure. And in Portuguese, the language spoken in Brazil, it became even more different. In the surprise and the shout, we do it beautifully. Inside Out. Inside Out is a film that, besides dealing with multiple emotions that we all have, also had to deal with multiple different scenes according to the country where the film was shown. One of the most memorable is the scene where Riley, when she was still a child, refuses to eat broccoli when her father tries to give her the meal. And let's agree, it's not so strange for someone not to like broccoli, especially if they're a child, right? But the detail is that in Japan and other Asian countries, children absolutely love broccoli. Exactly for this reason, the scene wouldn't make any sense there. So the Pixar folks solved this problem by changing the broccoli in the little girl's meal to another green food, bell pepper. This way, it made more sense to the young audience on the other side of the world.
Right. Here comes an airplane. Oh, airplane. We got an airplane, everybody.
Shrek. This is a change that very few people know about. Shrek is probably the most successful animated comedy film in history, but in Poland, one of the lines from the film had to be changed to make it more threatening. The moment when Shrek tells Donkey that he would kick his butt was changed to something heavier over there.
All right, you're going the right way for a smack bottom.
Sorry about it.
In this version, Shrek said to his companion that he would take him to the slaughterhouse. Could this be the origin of the idea to make horse meat burgers in some places in Europe a while ago? If so, poor Donkey, Wreck-It Ralph. This change we're about to talk about is quite interesting. It happened with a character that many people don't even remember properly, Minty Zaki. She was given this name in honor of one of Japan's animation greats, Hayao Miyazaki. He worked on famous films like Castle in the Sky and Ponyo, and for some reason, in Japan, she underwent 2 changes. The first one was precisely her name, which was changed to Sakura, and the second one is her character design, which became much more aligned with ancient Japanese culture, even using a kimono, along with a fringe, and her hair was put in a bun. We'll still show you 6 more scenes that were modified in other countries. So, if you enjoy cartoons and animated films like we do, comment down below, #awesome, so we know you're one of us. Moana. Moana is one of those movies that's so memorable that even though it was released in 2016, just a few years ago, Disney itself has announced that the film will soon get a live-action version. The funny detail is that, just like the original animated film, the live-action version will have different names around the globe. This is because in Europe, the name Moana isn't, shall we say, very child-friendly. There was an Italian actress who starred in adult films and later even became a writer, politician, and television presenter named Moana Pazzi, and she wasn't only known in Italy, but in many European countries, as you might imagine. For this reason, it would be completely absurd for Disney to keep that name for the title of its film in those places. Therefore, in Italy, the film's title was changed to Oceana, and in other countries like Portugal, France, and Spain, among others, it became Vaiana. Can you imagine a child watching a Disney movie, and then when their parent gets home, they say, "I think I know that name." Thank goodness Disney made that change. Whew! Coco. Anyone who watched Coco surely enjoyed Miguel's story and all the songs we heard throughout the film, which were really great, no doubt. But there's a very curious detail that ended up causing a modification in the film in a very strange and funny way. This is because the name Coco had to be changed in Brazil, where it's also a colloquial term for number 2 in the bathroom. So the film's name needed to be modified to Viva, a play on words that means both celebrate and live, since the film is set largely in the world of the dead. Who would have thought this film would be related to what goes down the drain, right? Inside Out. Returning to this fantastic Pixar film, we have another scene that was modified to make more sense in other parts of the world. There's a particular moment when Riley's family is sitting at the table having dinner, and we see that he's in that famous men's moment, which could be called the nothing box. And in this moment, he's reminiscing about a hockey game, the sport he loves the most because, you know, most guys are into sports. The detail is that hockey is a sport that's not played in most countries around the world, as it requires ice and becomes impractical in many places. For this reason, in many places, the father's mind is depicted as a soccer match, which is indeed the most popular sport in the world, making it easier to understand why he was so distracted. Judging by his wife's expression, I guess his team lost that match.
Uh-oh, she's looking at us.
The Incredibles. You might need to make a bit of an effort to remember, but if you watch The Incredibles, you may recall that at the beginning of the film, Mr. Incredible faces a villain who dresses up as a mime and uses explosives for his robbery actions. His name is Bon Voyage, a play on words involving bomb and the French expression bon voyage, which is really clever, but perhaps it didn't make as much sense to the French themselves. So over there, the villain's name was changed to Valamour, which means something like crazy love. Indeed, that's quite crazy, because if Bon Voyage didn't make any sense, I think crazy love makes even less sense. But hey, orders from above, right? So, just change the name and carry on with the film. Ratatouille! Since we're talking about the beautiful and romantic France, let's discuss the film that celebrates French cuisine, Ratatouille. The animation itself is set in a restaurant in France, and that's why originally many scenes involving books and papers were created in the French language. However, to make sure that audiences in the United States and other English-speaking countries would understand the content, a lot of things were created in an English version. For instance, the scene where Remy finds Linguini's DNA test that was hidden to prevent the restaurant from falling into his hands. But in the original, it was in French, written differently in Linguini's native language and in Remy's. Sausage Party. Sausage Party is definitely not an animation for children. That's because it was actually created by comedian Seth Rogen for adult audiences, filled with explicit jokes and dirty innuendos, so to speak. Exactly for this reason, its age rating is restricted to those over 18, at least in most parts of the world, because in Sweden, the animated film was classified so that children as young as 11 could watch it too. Man, that's what I call liberal-mindedness. These were 12 of the different scenes and things in animated cartoons and films from other countries today. Which of these did you find the coolest? Comment down below. We'd like to know. And don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, bye-bye!